Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
So in August, we mark Women's Month and we pay tribute to the more than 20,000 women who marched to the Union buildings on the 9th of August in 1956. And of course, in protest against the extension of past laws to women. Fast forward to 2025, 69 years later, and the theme is Accelerate Action. And it emphasizes the need to speed up progress towards gender equality. So we thought we'd have a conversation where we unpack, the biggest priorities for South African women today and whether or not some of the burning themes and the pressing issues that women face today when we talk about matters of equality, when we talk about matters of inclusion and marginalization, are they still resonant to, some of the issues that the women of 1956 faced in their day-to-day existence, right? Be it personal and professional. And so we thought we'd rope in Uphelela Lamani, who's a senior HR manager specializing in organizational health and effectiveness, and Ukholega Cele, who is an entrepreneur, to help us navigate this conversation. And of course, we welcome your opinions and your experiences too. You can always send us a WhatsApp on 061-410-4107. That's our WhatsApp line. Or 086-000-2032 is our in-studio line. Phelela, let's start with you. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing very well. Thank you, Bridget. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it. A lot of folks would ask the question of whether or not 69 years later, 69 years post 1956, if South African women still very much face similar challenges, similar barriers as the women of that 1956 march, though there was a very specific reason that saw them taking to the street, the catalyst that saw them taking to the streets and taking to Union buildings. But as a lived experience for women back in 1956, is that something that women today can sort of speak on and say, in fact, the challenges and the barriers still remain the same, or they're slightly different?
Very much so, Bridget. My experience, the fight hasn't changed very much from 1956. Even though the discrimination back then was legislated and it was overt, today's world is still very much the same. People still hold the same belief systems. Those still remain ingrained, even though it's no longer legislated, it's not law, but it's still covertly practiced. People still hold those biases. For example, women in the workplace still earn very much less than their counterparts and still progress slower to positions of seniority and leadership. So the fight might have moved from the streets to the boardrooms, but it still remains more or less the same. We still face challenges with attaining respect, for instance, when women are in leadership positions. We still face challenges attaining respect from juniors in C-suite conversations, having our voices heard, having our presence acknowledged. So the fight is still very much the same. Yes, our mothers and grandmothers may have started a journey for us, but we still embark on very much the same journey.
Colleague, to bring you in here as an entrepreneur, do you share similar sentiments and a similar experience as Phelela is outlining?
Hi, Bridget. I must greet you first.
Hi.
I actually feel the same way as she just said, because as much as back then in 1965 things were much worse for women, and lately we are able to get to spaces that we couldn't have arrived to back then. But we still find lack of respect, especially in the positions that we're in. As much as we are in these positions, people don't trust us that much. They don't believe in us. Even our employees, because I employ a lot of people, you find out they even sometimes in my business would trust my husband compared to trusting me as a female. You find out even the society itself is causing that belief of trust in men compared to women. So I always say we struggle a lot being overshadowed by men, not necessarily intentional, but because the society is it's so patriarchal. The history has made us to believe that men can do better. So we struggle. We have to do it like 10 times what a man could have done, just to make them believe in us, just to make them see us the way we are, just to make them see that we can do better even. So it's such a struggle being in a leadership position as a woman. But having said that, it's different compared to the olden days, because at least we get those kind of opportunities that we would never have received if it was at that time. So the fight is kind of different in that sense, but we still struggle with getting the proper respect that we earn in the positions that we're in.
So I'm hearing here the sort of recurring themes that have run through the generations over time. Themes of discrimination, marginalization, respect, themes of around the essence of being seen as a woman. And then I wonder, when we have these conversations, are we also having these conversations within the context of sort of racial margins? Because is the experience the same for Pelela and Kollega as it is perhaps for our Caucasian counterparts? And if it is the same, why are we not having these conversations as unified voices as women? The unified collective of women. Why does it always seem that it's women of color that are sounding the alarm? And our Caucasian counterparts are not telling us what their experience is.
May I jump in, Bridget?
Yes, go ahead.
So if we bring in another demographic, so if we're talking about gender demographics now, but if we're going to bring in race demographics, then it would mean that the woman of color is marginalized twice, on race and on gender. So the reason why we are constantly sounding the alarm is because we're feeling the impact twice. There are existing stereotypes, obviously, that are driving that are in conflict with the female agenda. And those are based on the men still being seen in society as the breadwinner and the provider. And therefore they fight to retain that position, whether consciously or subconsciously, as Kollega said. They fight to retain that position in society, and they fight to retain it in corporate, in the corporate conversations, etc. But then you find that the black woman is doubly marginalized because the black man is still also fighting socioeconomically to get there. So it's a race against other women, then it's a race against our partners, our counterparts, because they need to get there and become the breadwinner, they need to become the provider, and we need to get there as well. So it becomes a double-edged sword for us. Yes, we want to win as women, but we also don't want to subdue our partners, because we don't want to undermine their ability to still remain that provider and that breadwinner.
Would love to hear your thoughts on this very important conversation. And it's not a conversation that exclusively that is exclusively just for women, though it's being held by women today. But we'd also love to hear the male perspective around this, because it's always interesting to hear, what males are thinking and chewing on when it comes to themes of conversation that concern women. 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line. If you want to send through a WhatsApp voice note, you're more than welcome to do so. Or 086-000-2032 is the number that you can call us on in studio if you want to chime in live. The biggest priorities, Kollega, before we get into the headline news, the biggest priorities in 2025 for women.
Okay. At this point, from my end, I would say, I was just going to add something from what
Go
Pelela
ahead.
said.
Yeah.
The stereotypes that we have as the Black nation also is also bringing us down, because we tend to, when I'm saying we, I mean like the Black nation, we tend to make things that are coming from the white race better. And you would say, even sometimes, yes, of course, I would say, inugumlungu, because if something is made better, it must be from the white nation. So for white women, they also get that benefit because of their race. as if they are much better than who we are as black females. So at times we get discrimination within our own race because they tend to put the white people on a certain level. So I think it's a stereotype that also as Black Nation we need to change, because there's nothing we can't do. We might not have like a soft English or nice English as they do, but there's nothing that we can't understand. There's nothing that we can't do. We still have the same capability as they are. Coming back to your question, I would say from my end, my priority is to try by all means possible to occupy unimaginable spaces where like people never expected a black female from Ezilalini to be, because we've got that capability. We need to break those patriarchal barriers and norms where it's not believed that a woman can be able to lead such kind of businesses as we do, where women is able to do things that were back then thought to be done by men only. So I'm saying, as women, we still need to prioritize ourselves because we've got the capabilities, we've got the brains to do these things. But somehow, because we have been like raised up in a manner where we were told to be wives, we were taught to be from seeing our parents. So now it feels like at sometimes when you bold up and stand up for yourself and do things that are unimaginable, you are disrespectful, because it somehow feels like as a woman, there's a position that you cannot cross. Yeah. So I'm saying at this point, we can do things, we need to fight and like prioritize ourselves and do things that can be meaningful, that can bring meaningful contributions towards our society.
Absolutely. Perfectly timed there, colleague. It's just gone 1:30. It's time for us to catch up with the headline news. Khulufelo Tefu joins us for that, and then we'll come back on the other side and continue the conversation.
Thank you. In the headlines this hour, the presidency says Ministers for Trade, Industry and Competition, Park Stawe and John Steenhuisen for Agriculture, will on Monday provide an update on the outcome of the tariff negotiations between the US and South Africa. Public Works and Infrastructure Minister Dean McPherson has reiterated his commitment to fight against corruption. And further afield, President Donald Trump says billions of dollars are flowing into the United States as new sweeping tariffs on more than 90 countries come into force. I'll have details at 2.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
They said women belong in the background, but we've always been the backbone. We drive economies. We innovate, care, build, and break barriers. We don't just raise families, we raise nations. But how do we build a thriving nation while violence still silences our voices? Erasing gender-based violence and femicide from our history isn't a dream. It's a decision, a shared one, a necessary one. This Women's Month, let's rise, not just in celebration, but in solidarity, because South Africa is strongest when every woman is safe. This message is brought to you by the GBVF Response Fund and proudly supported by the SABC.
You are listening to The Full Circle.
Yes, it is The Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga on SAFM, having the conversations that lead the nation. 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line if you'd like to send through a WhatsApp voice note, or 086-000-2032. We're taking stock of the state of women 69 years post 1956, and we're in conversation with two women from various spaces, just trying to unpack where we at and what is the biggest priority for South African women today. We'd love to hear, I'd love to hear your thoughts, from your lived experience, whether we're talking from a racial perspective, or a gender perspective. I'd love to hear just your truest and most honest thoughts. This is why we have the show. We're about to embark on this national dialogue that's going to cost us 700 million rands as a country. When we have free airtime every single day to have these national dialogues amongst ourselves. So we might as well just use them right now. Joining me on the line, Ricky Minyuko, Rick is actually a gender specialist, well positioned to chime in on this conversation. How are you doing today?
How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Cannot complain indeed. Let's jump in. I guess let's jump in on the tail end of the priorities for South African women right now. And are they gendered and racialized?
Oh, Bridget, when I thought about the question and I thought about all the women I've spoken to, not just in South Africa, across the continent, across the world, I think the priority for women today is surviving. And that is not a priority that is gendered, nor is it a racialized priority. Women are concerned about, am I healthy? Is my family healthy? Are my children healthy? They're concerned about their mental well-being. They're concerned about their financial well-being, being able to access resources, have housing, have food, and being able to hold on to what that they have achieved. That's very different from a dream. I do think that women dream about a shared humanity. They dream about a world where all people, because our politics has changed, and we've recognized that there are many differences that we were not thinking about or talking about in 1956. But when I talk to women on the ground, when we go into communities, rural and urban, most women don't believe that they can achieve that for their lives, but they want their children to achieve a world where their children can thrive. That means everything is provided for them and they can be their most authentic selves, showing up in a purposeful way in the world. And I know it feels like that's the language that we use when we are in a dominant position in the world. But it is the language that every woman uses. What can you do for the next generation?
And I think, Ricky, what you bring up here is also in part to Kolega's point about, the unimaginable. The fact that women really should be setting their sights on the unimaginable and inhibiting the spaces that were limited to them before. And perhaps that then creates that blueprint and it wins half of that battle for the next generation.
Yeah, I think up until now, many women have really tried to do it alone, right? So they have tried to be that rising star. They have tried to be that example, that representation. But I do think that we're having more and more conversations and collective work taking place. We're creating spaces where women come together and are thinking about what are the things that have to be done. When I think of our current world and how complicated and how oppressive it is, we have women coming together to fight for Gaza. We have women coming together to make sure that we are addressing gender-based violence. We have women coming together to make sure that we are creating economic opportunities. So women are gathering in different places and different spaces to reconnect to themselves as women, who we are, and recognize that as women, ultimately we are people who live on the globe, on the earth, and who have a relationship with others. When they recognize that in themselves, they can recognize it in others.
It's so interesting, the examples that you put forward, right? That women are galvanizing as a collective for sort of shared concerns and shared challenges, right? And when you bring up GBV, for instance, one of my observations has always been, and I think it goes back to what I asked earlier on, to say women of color seem to be very vocal about certain struggles and challenges. But we don't live in this world and we don't do this life outside of our Caucasian sisters, right? And my experience as SABC is very similar to Karen's experience at SABC, or maybe not. And we will not know that unless we come together in a room and share. And when you bring up GBV, I've often noted, just me personally, I've often noted that, wait a minute, when we vocalize the upset around this, it is really the browner women that are at the front lines of vocalizing. It's the browner women that are marching up in arms with placards. It's the browner women that are expressing their anger and their disappointment and their frustration. I'm like, but we don't do this world by ourselves.
That's true, Bridget. And I know a lot of activists in the gender-based violence space that are of different races. The thing is that they're doing different things. So, for example, we have Celeste Lowe of Optimistic Biker. She works with the Cheers Foundation, and they are doing service provision. Right. We have, I saw the iLaw initiative. That is an initiative put together by a brown woman that is teaching self-defense classes. We have to recognize there's so much that has to be done. And so we work at different places and in different spaces. But ultimately, for the Black woman, the brown woman, the women of color, the issues are so viscerally in our face, and our places of power to interact with them lie in the collective. But if you recall the 2019 marches, what was that movement called? If you recall the total shutdown movement, they were all women out on the street. They were women of all colors and races. They were men involved in that march. They were queer communities involved in that march. So gender-based violence often hurts my heart because it is a national priority for everyone. Yeah. And yet it's not treated or resourced like such a priority.
Absolutely. I want to jump to WhatsApp. We've got Suraya out in Lenasia. Suraya, sorry for that. Please chime in from your perspective. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Bridget. I trust you well.
I'm great, thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, fine. You know, I'm listening. I'm 73 years old. So, with having been born during the apartheid years, being raised in a process that I didn't know and understand apartheid until we were moved again and again, you know, and getting married at the age of 16. I'm married now 57 years. So I'm looking at this, and thank goodness I can still have my young eyes, you know.
Yeah.
I still have young eyes to look at the world and to find it amazing how times have changed and have not. People have changed, but they have not. We are hosting a Women's Day on Saturday at the GIST Center, taking up a woman that was 20 in her 20s that took part in the march. Can you imagine an 89-year-old coming to speak and explain to us what led up to the march? It's not as if the march took place in isolation of everything else. There was a process.
So
I'm like, oh wow, we seem to learn, but we do not unlearn things that we learned in apartheid to be racist.
Well, as they always say, I remember my history teacher, Suraya, always used to say that the problem with history is that it repeats itself. That was Suraya out in Lenasia. Thank you so much for your perspective. I feel as if we're just opening these conversations, every single year, and we never have enough time for these dialogues. But ours is to simply just open the can of worms and then throw it out there. And let's see how the boomerang bounces back, on the back of our national dialogue. We fast run out of time, but perhaps, Pelile, I'll let you have just the final bite in 30 seconds.
Bridget, I really want to echo what colleague Enrique have already mentioned. I think ours is to be stewards for our women coming up, for the generations coming up. Just like our grandmothers and mothers charted a course for us and started the journey for us, it's to leave them in a better position, just like our mothers and grandmothers left us. They left us with the ability to reach for opportunities that they weren't able to reach for. Ours is to leave the upcoming generations with the ability to reach for opportunities and reach levels that we weren't able to reach. So if we continue that fight and we hold on to what we learned in a way that is constructive for the generations that are coming, I think that is the biggest fight for me in 2025.
Ladies, I appreciate the time with you this afternoon and, of course, for just planting the seed for conversation. We need to sit with these conversations amongst ourselves and as a collective and really just take stock of our journeys individually and together and see how we shifted the needle and move it forward. Let's take a quick pause and then we'll be right back on the other side of this.
After a 2-0 loss against Morocco in the Chan opener, the Angolans are digging deep for their first victory. However, the hosts, Harambee Stars, are chasing their second consecutive win in their own backyard. This is the Total Energies African Nations Championship 2024. Be part of the action. Angola versus Kenya. This Thursday, 7 August at 6 p.m. Live everywhere, for everyone, always on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
Gender-based violence is destroying lives and tearing communities apart. It happens in homes, in schools, at workplaces, and too often in silence. But it doesn't have to continue. If you see it, speak out. If you are hurting, reach out. Because doing nothing is not an option. Listen to all 19 SABC radio stations from Wednesday, the 23rd of July for hard talk, discussions, advice, dramas, educational shows and interviews around GBV with experts, survivors, lawmakers and a whole country affected by gender-based violence. All on your favorite SABC radio station. Call 0800 428 428 to report abuse or get help. GBV, it ends with you. This message is brought to you by the SABC.
SAFM music, crafted to make you feel real good.
As the night moves in,
Handpicked just for your pleasure. Classics sounding so good, only on SAFM.
Stages, pages, screens, and more on the Full Circle.
I'm so outing the people I'm sitting here in studio with. What are they teaching people there at Gen? Where are they? Where are we now? Gen Z? No, not alphas. These 20-year-olds. Aussies. What are they teaching the Z's there at school? Like, I'm just saying, with yesterday, I saw someone on Twitter. There's that iconic picture of Nelson Mandela, Joe Slovo, and Ruth First in consultation. And someone was like, yeah, I didn't realize Joe Slovo was white. And then I went down the rabbit hole of the comments, people schooling her around Joe Slovo. And then people pointing out Ruth First and her contributions, allyships, how she passed on. And I just thought to myself, what are we teaching these children? And also, why they're not picking up books on their own to read things? Turns out some of the people I'm sitting here in studio, yeah, by the time we get done with this show. Anyway, Mike van Graan joins us now for Stages, Pages, Screens and more to talk To Life with Love, featuring John Matham, that's returning due to popular demand at the Pop-Up Theatre. How are you doing, Mike?
Hey, I'm doing really well. Thank you very much, Bridget. I had to laugh at what you at the question that you asked.
But is it not the truth? I mean, you're a theatre practitioner. Are you not at times jaw to the floor?
Well, yeah, and this is the irony, right, about what you're talking about. Because of my surname, people kind of assume that I'm white.
Yes. Oh. It's the world we live in, I tell you, Mike. It's the world we live in.
Absolutely. Identity politics. That's
There
what
we-
it's all about.
That's what it's all about. But let's shift focus and look at To Life with Love. I mean, run us through this particular piece, because it's actually got an interesting genesis as to how the story came about.
Yeah, so John Mason and I ended up sitting next to each other at a show at the Baxter last June, and he said to me, look, jokingly, please write me a show, which I need to perform. I need to be back on stage again. And, I then presented him with a couple of topics, and we came up with this one, mainly because we are both men kind of like getting on in years, as it were, and we both kind of had health challenges. And so we thought that this might very well be a piece that appeals to and resonates with a particular audience. And from what, when we've done the piece so far, it has been amazing to hear people's responses and to see the responses, because clearly it's dealing with subjects that we would rather avoid and not speak about. But that's the beauty of theatre. We can put into the public domain the kinds of things that people feel anxious about, the kinds of things that we would rather do a Voldemort about, that which shall not be mentioned. But by mentioning it, you allow people the freedom to think about and to talk about these things, and to allow for a moment of catharsis. So I think that's been the beauty of the piece so far.
Walk us through some of the themes that you unpack, and as you say, it opens up conversation that might be uncomfortable for audience members to sit with.
Yeah, so, it's a little bit autobiographical for me, anyway. In October 2023, I kind of received what at the time was a bit of a shock diagnosis of, early stages of prostate cancer. And I thought that I was Superman, this kind of stuff doesn't happen to me, it happens to other people. And I think that that's the first thing that we need to embrace as human beings, that these things happen to us. It isn't something that just happens to other people. And of course, I've kind of been through the process of doing brachytherapy and facing up to, what this means. And I'm completely healthy, and doctors have been very happy with what I've been through in terms of the treatment and so on. But what it's done for me is having to say, okay, I am mortal. Now, how do I choose to live? And what do I need to put in place for the next 15, 20 years of life that I'm now having? So to some extent, it's been that which has informed the initiation of this play. But very interesting that you also mentioned Joe Slovo earlier, because two of the books that I've used to help with the research around this piece are Atul Gawinda's book, bestseller, international bestseller, on Being Mortal, and the other book was written by Helena Dolny, who was Joe Slovo's wife, and who nursed him through his latter years after he had been diagnosed with cancer. So, what she had been reflecting about and what she put into this book was incredibly informative in terms of how do we deal with these things so that we make it easier for our families, but we also make it easier for ourselves as to what it is that we want. How do we want, final days to kind of like be dealt with and so on. So these are things, as I say, that we don't really want to talk about it, but we need to. We need to embrace these things that are going to befall us all anyway.
Absolutely. I think the other interesting perspective is that, the play is centered around a male-lived experience. And oftentimes we know how males shy away from, even though they have these life-altering moments, they might shy away from tapping into that emotion and really vocalizing what they're feeling and sort of weaving through at that particular point in time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that that's the brilliance of John Mason's performance, because many people actually, after they see the piece, they think that it's actually his story, because he so inhabits this character, Thomas Michael Faulkner, who is in his late 60s, has encountered, real professional success. But he's also been through incredible loss, where he's lost his much-loved wife through the course of COVID, and there were elements of mental unwellness within their family as well. So although these are kinds of the experiences that he's had, he's now in a position where he can say, okay, how am I going to live? And I think that although it kind of deals with quite heavy themes, people might be thinking, it's done in quite a poetic way with lots of humor as well. And it is a life-affirming way rather than one that makes people feel depressed, because it's this ironic, counterintuitive approach, which is to say, by facing up to our mortality, by facing to the fact that we are going to have our end of days at some point, we then can choose how we will live most impactfully, how we will live most mindfully, and that's what the play encourages us to do.
Absolutely. Just as we wrap it up, Mike, so you're out at Pop-Up Theatre. Quicket is where we go for the tickets, correct?
Yes, it is. So this pop-up theatre, as independent theatre makers, we are looking desperately for spaces to do our work. And so this is within a church where they've got this hall. So we are trying this 3-week run in this church hall. And if it works, we can do future shows here, maybe use church infrastructure throughout the city, throughout the province, and throughout the country to bring our works to audiences. So I'm kind of hoping that it works at that level as well.
Wonderful stuff. Mike van Graan, thank you so much for the time. He's the writer of To Life with Love, paying homage to his own personal journey. And Quicket is where you can go to get yourself a ticket for this one. If you are available, it's running in 12th of August. And the shows are running from Tuesday to Thursday and then Friday to Saturday. So that's when it kicks off, 12th of August. And you'll be able to get all the other necessary information from Mike from vangraan.co.za. That's Mike's website. Let's take a quick pause and then we come back and we sneak in one more creative conversation.
This Women's Month, SAFM stands with the women shaping South Africa's future under the theme Building Resilient Economies for All. We honor the pioneers, the problem solvers, and the everyday heroes driving change. Stay tuned as SAFM brings you powerful stories and meaningful conversations that move us. SAFM, celebrating women, celebrating progress. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
Okay, this is going to be a quickie but a goodie as we catch up with Maureen Varda, and we're looking at the Esteemed Her Woven in Strength Women's Day event. How are you doing, Maureen?
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you, Bridget. Well, and yourself?
I'm all right, thank you. Okay, give us the lowdown on the Esteemed Her movement.
Okay, this is the Esteemed Her Woven in Strength. This is a event that will be taking place on the 16th of August at the Radisson Blue Hotel in Sandton, opposite the Gautrain. And the purpose of this event is to bring women together, just to have discussions. But this is not just an ordinary Women's Day event. This is a long-term, impactful event. The founder being Pumla Nkomokazi, Pomi. Mm-hmm. And the movement is dedicated to uplifting and supporting women from all walks of life, particularly young professionals, women in leadership, and those from disadvantaged backgrounds. Also focusing more on the corporate environment and education for women, trying to lift, because what we found is that over the years, these Women's Day events come and go, and then people go back into their same ways of life again. This event is different in the sense that the speakers that will be there, Lamise Holworthy, Nabu Slim, Charlie, Hani Shangise, Kinsani Kufasi, Minka Teko, Njoko, Lendi Klamani. These are women that have walked the journey. They are women that are esteemed in what they do. They are purposeful, they are meaningful, they are impactful. So this event will be on the day, something really spectacular. We are encouraging women to come through, to learn, to join in, to unify with women that have already walked this road, women that have experienced the things that you have experienced. But most importantly, what we found is with these Women's Day events is that they come and they go, and it's like a rainbow during August, and then it disappears. You know, and we're not going to do that. The purpose of this whole event is to build and unify communities, to strengthen women, empower women. We have walked this journey. We've been through the crisis. We've navigated our way out of the crisis. And we want to equip the young women who are getting into corporate environments. Corporate can be a very treacherous place to navigate your way these days. Looking at our conduct and our ethics and how we as women navigate our way through the corporate environment. And then also to create safe spaces for conversation at the event, for professionals. You find that a young girl comes out of a rural area, she goes and studies, helps herself, gets out of that lifestyle, tries to break the cycle of pain in her life, gets into the corporate environment, and she's pulled down by the very people that she looks to uplift her. So these are talks that are very important. We need to, as women, empower each other in leadership to say we need to honor each other as women. Absolutely. We need to respect and empower one another. We need to create a path. Like if you're climbing Mount Everest, you have a tour guide, a mountain guide, that will take you up that mountain. He's navigated those treacherous roads, the paths. And as women, what we want to do is I'm a certified ethics officer, and I'm passionate about ethics. My background is law, compliance, risk, and culture champion. But what I found in all of this, even as a Christian counselor, I found that as women, we need to really get our act together.
Yeah.
We really need to start uplifting one another, and not just by verb, just by mouth. We're just doing this and we're getting an event done and that is it. We need to seriously take ourselves serious, and then the world will start taking us serious.
Maureen, you've literally summed it all up and answered every single question that I had for you. A good maximizing of the limited time that we had. That was Maureen Varda, Certified Ethics Officer. And of course, that event, the esteemed Her Woven in Strength Women's Day event, is taking place at the Radisson Blu in Sandton with quite the impressive list of speakers. It's just a few seconds to go before the top of the hour, and Khulufelo brings us that top of the hour news. Coming up on the other side of 2 o'clock, we're having a conversation around SARS, and we're looking at what happens when SARS comes knocking at your door and they start demanding their money. Do you have any kind of recourse in that situation? So if you do have an issue pending, or maybe something that you might need a little bit of assistance with that, 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line. You can send through your WhatsApp query there, or your scenario on WhatsApp. Get these things in early, because then we run out of time. Let's take a pause for the news.
Thank you, Bridget. Top stories this hour: outcome on tariff negotiations expected by Monday, and Public Works Minister vows to fight against corruption. Good afternoon. The presidency says Ministers for Trade, Industry and Competition, Park Stawu and John Steenhuisen for Agriculture, will on Monday provide an update on the outcome of the tariff negotiations between the U.S. and South Africa. This as the 30% U.S.-imposed tariffs on South Africa are set to take effect in less than 24 hours. Yesterday, President Cyril Ramaphosa and his U.S. counterpart Donald Trump spoke telephonically. Minister in the presidency, Khumbudzo Ntshavheni, briefed the media on the outcomes of the latest cabinet meeting.
Government's efforts remain focused on growing the economy to save and create new jobs, which include intensifying diversification efforts and strengthening our global supply chain integration as the country works to expand its export markets to Asia, Europe, the Middle East and across the African continent to enhance our economic resilience. Specific to industries impacted by the tariff increase, and the Ministers of Trade and Industry and Competition and Agriculture will brief on the details of these measures specific to the tariffs arrangement by next week, Monday.
Public Works and Infrastructure Minister Dean McPherson has reiterated his commitment to the fight against corruption. This after he laid criminal charges against Lebogo Malaka, the suspended CEO of the Independent Development Trust, and the entity's spokesperson Pasha Magolane. This in relation to the alleged bribery attempt of investigative journalist Peter Louis Mayberg by the pair. Mayberg was allegedly offered 60,000 rand in exchange for bearing an investigation into alleged corruption by Malaka. McPherson addressed the media outside the Cape Town Central Police Station.
Since I assumed office as the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, I've been very clear with our staff and our entities that I cannot and will not accept wrongdoing in the department. And where required, I would personally open cases against those accused of criminality, because I must lead from the front when it comes to ensuring we are a capable and ethical-based economic delivery unit in South Africa.
Patriotic Alliance leader Gayton McKenzie has apologized to the SABC after he accused the corporation of being involved in an independent podcast, the Open Chat podcast. Presenters on the podcast made derogatory remarks about the coloured community in South Africa, and McKenzie assumed that the SABC had the podcast on its platforms, subsequently threatening the corporation with legal action. After consultations with the public broadcaster, McKenzie issued this apology.
I have made contact with the CEO of SABC, rightfully showed us that we are wrong in mentioning SABC in our papers and that they have nothing to do with it. Vile podcast. They are not on SABC platforms, so let me apologize to SABC. I've also spoken to MultiChoice. There should be no place to hide for racist. If you are white racist, black racist, colored racist, a racist remains a racist. And in South Africa, there will be no place for racism.
The nuclear community in Johannesburg says it will continue to support the child seen on a video being instructed to smoke a substance believed to be drugs. The 4-year-old's mother and 3 others appeared in the Johannesburg Regional Court on charges of child abuse and attempted murder today. Their case has been postponed to the 18th of this month for formal bail application. The Johannesburg Metropolitan Police Department said the accused allegedly confessed to using Mandrex and admitted to filming the incident during their arrest last week. The nuclear community was in court to support the 4-year-old boy and his family.
It really affected us. We are so shattered. And all we want now is justice for this child. Community, please come out in your numbers.
I was also shocked because it was trending on social media. As a mother, as a grandmother, I just felt like this is not right. I just feel like I must come here to support.
And finally, President Donald Trump says billions of dollars are flowing into the United States as new sweeping tariffs on more than 90 countries come into force. The rates are different for different nations. Trump has promised even more import taxes. The BBC's Suranjana Tiwari reports.
Many products, including those from the European Union, Japan and South Korea, now face a 15% tariff, even with trade deals struck with Washington to avert steeper levies. Hours before the higher tariffs came in, the US president threatened to impose a 100% duty on foreign-made computer chips. Some of Asia's biggest chip makers will be exempt because Mr. Trump said those with factories in the US would not have to pay. But experts say smaller American businesses will be affected.
The top story this hour, the presidency says Ministers for Trade, Industry and Competition, Park Stawu and John Steenhuisen for Agriculture will on Monday provide an update on the outcome of the tariff negotiations between the US and South Africa. Headlines at 2:30 for SAFM News. I'm Kulofelo Defo.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
Hi, I'm Khomotso KG Mweketi, and I believe in music's ability to connect, to heal, to remind, and to bring joy. And each week on my Saturday and Sunday show Seasons, right here on SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide, I endeavor to do just that. So join the movement of Seasons every Saturday and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's addictive. You might invite a friend. Seasons, only on SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. With me, KG Mwekezi.
This Women's Month, SAFM stands with the women shaping South Africa's future. Under the theme, Building Resilient Economies for All, we honor the pioneers, the problem solvers, and the everyday heroes driving change. Stay tuned as SAFM brings you powerful stories and meaningful conversations that move us. SAFM, celebrating women, celebrating progress. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
She's got a right to be.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
We played a little bit of an oldie but a goodie coming through from Roberta Flack, a singer and pianist, by the way. Very, very, very skilled on the piano as well, and mixing a few influences throughout her life, R&B, jazz, folk, and dabbling a little bit of pop as well from time to time. But yeah, that is how we thought we'd get into the second hour of the show. Roberta Flack and Donny Hathaway coming through for this one. Back Together Again is the title of this particular song. It's fast approaching 2:15 as we get into the second hour of the show. I did tell you that we're going to be chatting matters of SARS, what to do if you find yourself in a bit of a pickle with SARS. A lot of people actually get themselves into a bit of a pickle with SARS, and then you find SARS coming to knock at your door, demanding their fair share of the money that you tried to hide from them and pretend that it was something that it was not. I always say, don't even bother with SARS. Just tell them what it is and let them decide whether or not they're giving you 5 cents or you owe them 50 rands, and keep it moving, because life is too short for you to be in trouble with SARS. And they're not the nicest people also, because they have access to your bank. So they don't even wait for permission from you. They just go in there and whoop, take it all, and then next thing you standing there with your mouth open going, but all my money is gone. Yeah, because you tried to be slick with SARS. 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line. 086-000-2032 is the number that you can call us on if you do have a scenario that's playing out at the moment with SARS, and perhaps you want a little bit of guidance. I think our guest might be well suited to be able to point you in the right direction, maybe give you some advice, maybe tell you whose door you need to go knock on in order to rectify the situation that you've put yourself in. So you can send through those queries. Please don't wait until the end of the conversation and then our WhatsApp is flashing blue, but at that time our guest is gone. We have very limited time. 061-410-4107. Let's take a quick pause.
SA Sport Awards reflect our collective nation-building spirit. Mzansi's sport heroes and heroines have shown resilience, persistence, passion, discipline, and world-class achievements in the sports fraternity. Nominees will be announced in August. Let us celebrate #IsInJustAGame. Catch the 18th Annual SA Sport Awards on Sunday, 24 August at 7:30 p.m. on SABC Plus and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4, then on SABC 1 at 8 p.m. Brought to you by the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture in partnership with SASCOG and SABC Sport, celebrating sporting excellence.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195, and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
With the ever-changing financial landscape, it can be difficult to make sense of all the moves at times. Join me, Jimmy Moyaha, on the SAFM Market Update with MoneyWeb, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 to 7 p.m, as we break down the key market trends, top financial stories, and smart investment insights, all in one place. It's everything you need to stay financially informed and ahead of the curve.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
All right, let's get into the conversation. 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line. You can send through a WhatsApp voice note. If you have a pending issue, outstanding matter with SARS, our next guest is well placed to help you navigate this. How do you actually tackle a letter of demand from SARS? Do you have any recourse when they come to you and say that Bafuni Malzabo? What can you do in that regard? And my guest is the Chief Operating Officer at Latita Africa, and she'll tell us more about what Latita does. Raziel Manikis joins us. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm good. Thanks. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for coming through, especially on this cold day. So is it Latita Africa?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, what do you guys do?
We are a tax legal specialist firm.
Mm-hmm.
We assist people in large tax debts.
Okay.
And, anything in terms of disputes, objections, compromises. That's what Letitia does.
Large tax debts. Okay, so I would not come to you because I don't fall into that tax bracket. I mean, at most, I probably owe SARS 5 rand. Like, that's it.
Well, it depends. We help everybody.
Okay.
But our speciality is doing the large tax debts, which is not what many firms do. So we do help every single person, whether your debt is, small or large, but our actual speciality is the large tax debt.
Okay. I mean, let's look at, it's an interesting relationship with SARS. I remember when I sort of started out as a young model, we had a very good finance department at the agency, and she drummed it in me. Don't lie to SARS, ever. Ever, 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 ever. Don't lie to SARS. But a lot of people want to sort of get away with, just pushing things around at SARS, thinking that they can dupe SARS.
Yeah, a lot of people do, but it's not really possible in a large, scale of things. SARS has got access to your IRP5s because the company is going to be doing their taxes correctly.
Yeah.
SARS has got access to a whole lot of things that you may think they don't, but they actually do. So there's no point in lying to them because they will give you the bank statement you didn't think that they knew you had.
Yes, yes. And I think that's the part where we often forget is just how easy it is for them to access your personal financial information.
Absolutely.
It's almost a courtesy that they let you file your own taxes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's crazy. Even when they do receive the IRP5, for example, and with the medical certificate from, whichever medical aid you're on, there's still some things that you have paid. Medical expenses out of pocket that you would put in. So they are very courteous in saying, show us what other money you have spent and what other money you have received, and then let's see what your taxes look like after that.
Yeah, let's balance the books.
Exactly.
Together. But
Exactly.
we don't need you to begin with. Okay, so if you find yourself, maybe before we even get, if you find yourself, what are the ways in which maybe people are not aware that could get them into trouble with SARS? Because sometimes we're not enlightened and you think, oh, I did it last year, I did it for the past 3 years, and SARS didn't say anything, so it's probably okay.
I think the biggest thing is to file your taxes. Firstly, like you said, be honest with them. So if you are getting money from a side hustle and you're working for an organization, tell them that. If you are spending more money than just the medical aid, tell them that. You don't know, you may be getting a refund from SARS. So you could be on the other side and saying, wow, I received a refund you didn't even know.
True. Very true. And actually, that's good advice. A lot of tax practitioners will tell you, I keep a shoebox. I've kept it my entire life. I keep a shoebox, every end of February, I just drop it off at my tax lady's office. I'm like, you sort it out. I don't even bother. Because to your point, as a freelancer, for instance, I don't even know what's what that I can claim for. And because SARS regulations and tax regulations change so much, what I could claim for 10 years ago, I can't claim for now.
Yes.
So let the professional be the one who weeds through it. 9 out of 10, she says to me, give me your bank statements as well, because you're running a bit short here and there.
Yes, and I think that's very important. A lot of people don't really understand the processes. And coming back to the large tax debts.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know what remedies there are. And that is why it's important, take your shoebox, take it to your bookkeeper, take it to your accountant, let them sort it out and let them figure out, what's best for you, what you can claim, what you can't claim, rather than saying, I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to disagree here. I'm going to agree here. And then you put yourself into a situation that you didn't need to be in.
Yeah. Now, Raziel, a lot of people do exactly what you've just described. They do it themselves. And some people are really great at doing their own tax returns.
Yes.
I just don't want to deal with SARS, period. So I'd rather pay someone to do it. But then some people get themselves into a pickle and then you find you owe SARS.
Yes.
And SARS is not forgiving when you owe them, especially if you're not being upfront. Or maybe that's just the sort of experience people have shared with me, how unforgiving SARS is to them. But is there a way to sort of go to SARS and communicate with them before they come to you with that letter of demand?
Absolutely. And you can even do it after you receive the letter of demand, provided you are within that 10-day window. So you can say to SARS, hey, I didn't know, I just received this. Please, can we just pause? I'm requesting for suspension of payment. A lot of people that just don't know about SARS, don't know that remedy exists. Or if it's really, really, really large and you can't, you can say to SARS, can I please pay you off? A lot of people don't know you can do that. SARS is unforgiving when they've come to you over and over and over and over again. But if you're the one coming to them and say, look, I realized I owe you, I made a mistake. Is there a way that we can meet each other halfway? SARS is actually quite reasonable. Because remember, they just want to receive their money. They've got a mandate to receive money, and that's what they want to do. They're not going to say, no, we want to hear nothing, and then you sitting, but I can't afford to pay you. So SARS will definitely come meet you halfway and say, yes, let's see where we can meet each other halfway. What's good for you? What's good for me?
Absolutely. Okay. I want to get our listeners involved here. And someone said to ask you, oh, okay. I don't know if this falls into the realm, but I'll ask it anyway. To ask you if is it Akani made changes to pensions without asking us as members. They introduced a funeral scheme called Neighbors. Okay, this doesn't seem, it seems more pension related. Let's go to voice notes.
Hi, Bridget. I just want to find out from your guest, can SARS just take your money from your bank account without your permission if you owe them?
That's a very, very interesting question. We get that a lot. And the short answer is yes. SARS can go to your workplace and garnish your salary. SARS can take money from your bank account. SARS can attach your assets. They don't need permission. They don't need a court's judgment. And then if it's like really severe, SARS can go to the court and get a judgment against you. So, you know, the very long answer to the question is yes.
What leads to that? What leads to SARS going directly into your finances? Because something's got to have not happened from your side.
Correct. It's you not responding to SARS. SARS has been emailing you, not WhatsApping you, they're SMSing you, calling you, and you're just not responding. And SARS is like, this person is a delinquent. They're not interested in talking to us. However, we believe they owe us. Therefore, we are going to take the money. So SARS gets there when you're just not responding.
Okay. Is there recourse to that situation?
I want to say yes and no, but most of the time it's no, because once SARS is taking money from you, it means it's gone really, really, really far. Unless you have a specialist that can say to SARS, yes, we understand the person hasn't reached out to you for these particular reasons. Please, can you just give us time to work through everything, and then we'll come back to you. And 9 out of 10 times, SARS will say, yes, that's fine.
But they're not putting the money that they took from your bank back.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Once they've taken it, it is gone. Say goodbye.
Well, you heard it. Let's go to the next voice note.
Dear Bridget, impeccable timing for me on that topic. I received my automatic assessment from SARS. Apparently, I owe them 145 rands. But to my
rands or thousands?
They have kept 26,000 rands as a carryover to the next year. That cannot be right. Actually, I need that money to be paid out. The challenge is I don't even know on the system where to press. If you call their number, you know, you wait until you lose patience. And then if you go to their offices, again, they will send you from poller to post. Thank you.
Impeccable timing. I presume you meant to say 146,000, not rands.
So with this, it's important to have a tax practitioner. Sorry. And it's for this, you know, because you don't know where to press, you don't know what should be carried over, what should not be carried over. Somebody that's got the expertise can say, this was incorrect, this was incorrect, this was correct, this can be moved here, that can be shifted here. Remember, an auto-assessment is just based on the figures SARS has. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's correct. That is why it's important for you to actually log into your e-filing or have your tax practitioner log into your e-filing and check those auto assessments. It doesn't mean because SARS auto assess you that it's automatically, it's now done and dusted and we're going to move with this. You can correct that and you can say, no, SARS, actually you got this wrong, or you did not think about these expenses that I incurred. So it's very important to log in and look at that e-filing, go to a specialist and say, guys, this is something very wrong. I don't owe 145. And if I do, how did I get there? So that you don't get into this mess, again.
Yeah. And actually, I find a lot of the time tax consultants aren't really exorbitantly charged. Like, unless you're going to interesting firms, but a lot of firms offer these services for minimal.
Yes.
And you'll find if you're fortunate to be getting your rebate, you just paid off from your rebate anyway.
Exactly.
So go to a tax practitioner. I want to sneak in one more before we get into the news headlines. But have we gone through some of the voice notes? See that the ladies at the back are busy doing other things. Okay. Someone says, are there tax benefits in investing in unit trusts?
Yes, there can be.
Okay.
But you also need to know how to navigate that correctly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Short answer.
Yes.
That is your short answer. All right. So, you heard, bottom line is, if you find yourself in a predicament, you've got to approach SARS. Don't ignore it. We know that when we're in trouble, a lot of times we ignore it. Just quick one. If there is a dispute, Raziel, if there is a dispute, what happens in that situation?
A dispute in what sense? Like you say to SARS, I don't agree with what you said.
And they say, no, we are still gung-ho on saying that it is this way.
So remember, the burden of proof is on you. If you have a dispute, you need to prove why you're disputing, and then you got to have all the supporting documents to substantiate the dispute. And once SARS sees all of those supporting documents, then they're ready to have a conversation. But it's not enough just to say, no, I don't owe you that money, remove it. SARS is going to say, on what basis? So you need to have all the supporting documents in the way SARS wants you to have them, all your schedules and all of those things in order, and then you've got a very good grounds to dispute.
Awesome. I did warn you guys about sending through the voice notes in the final moments of the show, because now we've reached 2:30, and unfortunately we have to wrap it up there with our guest today. But latitaafrica.com is their website. So if you are in the high stakes bracket, any bracket, she says, then you guys may be able to utilize their services. That was Chief Operating Officer at Latita Africa, Raziel Manikas, joining us in studio. It's just gone 2:30. It's time for us to get into the headline news.
Thank you, Bridget. In the headlines, the SAWA cabinet is hopeful that South Africa will reach a trade deal with the US soon, with the aim of avoiding the 30% tariff increase expected to be imposed on the country's goods from tomorrow. Charges against one of the accused in the killing of two women whose bodies were fed to pigs have been withdrawn in the High Court in Polokwane in Limpopo. And beyond our borders, Ghanaian government has declared 3 days of national mourning after two Ghanaian cabinet ministers died in the helicopter crash. I'll have details at the top of the hour.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
Bafana are confident they can defeat the West Africans. Meanwhile, the national elephants want to step their foot down and walk away with victory. This is the Total Energies African Nations Championship 2024. Be part of the thrilling action. South Africa clashes with Guinea on Monday, 11 August at 4 p.m. Live at your fingertips on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
SAFM celebrates its 89th birthday this month. by giving listeners an exclusive opportunity to attend the prestigious Joy of Jazz taking place at the Sandton Convention Center from the 26th to the 28th of September 2025. To stand a chance to win these sought-after tickets, simply SMS SAFM 89 followed by your name to 41391 and stay tuned to SAFM as we could be calling you. SAFM is the official media partner for the Dipala stage at the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz. Entries open from the 7th of August and close on the 31st of August 2025. Winners will be randomly selected and called from the 1st of September 2025. SMSs are charged at R1.50 per SMS. Free SMSs and SMS bundles do not apply. T's and C's apply. SAFM, leading the conversation. This program is brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives.
Side by Side.
Good afternoon and welcome to Side by Side, brought to you by the National Department of Health, Ilifa la Bantwana, and the SABC Education. Today we're talking about giving your baby the best start through breastfeeding. On our drama episode yesterday, we heard from Unes Piliso, who highlighted why breastfeeding is so important for both mother and baby and how to get started on the right foot. Joining us now to continue the conversation and share more practical tips is Ashley Mead, a dietitian from the Department of Health. She'll help us explore how to make breastfeeding a positive and successful journey. Ashley, thank you so much for joining us today. Let's start with the big question. Why is breastfeeding so important, not just for the baby's health, but for mother's well-being too?
Well, not only does breast milk provide the perfect nutrition, it also supports their immune development. When babies are born, their immune system is not yet fully developed, and breast milk helps them by giving them all the nutrition and antibodies they need. As a mother, you can actually share your immune protection with your baby so they can grow and develop well. For those first 6 months of their lives, it's really important to give your baby only breast milk with no other foods or water. Introducing anything else increases the chance for respiratory infections, allergies, and diarrhea. So for those first 6 months of life, children only need breast milk. It has all the nutrients that baby needs to develop. From 6 months onwards, start introducing mash food while continuing to breastfeed for those first 2 years or even longer. That might sound like a long time, but breastfeeding amazingly offers children long-lasting protection against all kinds of other conditions like diabetes, cancer, asthma, and malnutrition.
And one thing that a few people know is that breastfeeding is also important for mom's health.
Yes, there are benefits for moms too. Breastfeeding helps mom recover after birth. It reduces bleeding and helps mom's womb return to normal. So it can help mom return to her pre-pregnancy weight provided she is eating healthily. On top of this, breastfeeding can lower a woman's chances of developing diabetes, osteoporosis, as well as breast cancer and cancers of the womb and ovaries.
Ashley, we now know that breastfeeding can have so many benefits, but it also takes support. What can families, healthcare workers, and communities do to protect and support new moms to breastfeed successfully?
Definitely. A new mother needs all the help she can get from her partner and other family members and even her community. You don't have to try to be Superwoman. Ask your family for support. Breastfeeding can be time-consuming and can make it difficult for mom to get enough sleep if she is waking up to breastfeed every few hours. Friends and family can help mom by taking on household tasks so that mom can sleep during the day while baby is sleeping. Healthcare workers at the clinic are there to help mothers with breastfeeding. So get help straight away if you are having difficulties with breastfeeding, such as extremely painful or sore nipples. The Road to Health booklet, which is the baby's health record given to mothers after birth, has useful information with pictures to show mothers how to breastfeed and answer common questions that they may have.
Mothers can also listen to these side-by-side shows on radio to learn more about breastfeeding.
Yes, and they can follow Side by Side SA on Facebook to get daily messages and tips on breastfeeding. Mothers and caregivers can also use the Facebook page to speak to Department of Health experts about any concerns they have. Mothers can also get information on Mom Connect. A pregnant woman can register on Mom Connect during her antenatal visits. Mom Connect sends mothers and pregnant women educational messages on breastfeeding and nutrition. If you are going back to work, you should know that employers are required by law to give breastfeeding mothers at least 2 30-minute breaks to feed or express breast milk on top of normal breaks. So discuss with your employer beforehand that you plan to exclusively breastfeed for those first 6 months. The Road to Health booklet given to mothers after birth shows you how to express and store breast milk.
Now, South African families have faced emergencies like civil unrest, pandemics, and even looting. In those moments when food and resources are scarce, can breastfeeding actually help mothers and babies get through?
Yes, breastfeeding would definitely help get through these emergencies, as it is free and can happen anytime, any place. So there is no need to worry about buying expensive formula that may not even be available, or to remember to clean and pack bottles. Breastfeeding moms also don't need to worry about having a supply of clean water to make formula. Breast milk is always ready, safe, and available.
So far, breastfeeding sounds amazing, but let's be honest, it's not always easy. Are there any common challenges or difficulties that moms should expect and prepare for?
You're right, it's not always easy, and breastfeeding may come with some challenges. So it is good to be prepared, and by doing so, even lower the chance of certain challenges. Firstly, new moms often don't know what to expect with breastfeeding. They need support and guidance, especially to make sure the baby has a good latch, as this is very important to ensure that mom doesn't get breast problems such as sore nipples or an infection. We also spoke about expressing breast milk earlier. This is also a way to prevent the breast from becoming too full, which can be painful and lead to engorgement, and if it's not treated, lead to blocked milk ducts or infections. So express the breast milk before it becomes too full and make sure the baby is latching well.
You spoke about latching, which is one word we hear a lot. Why is it so important for baby to latch properly, and what can mom do to help make it happen?
A good latch is necessary in order for the baby to be able to pump out the breast milk. The breast milk is stored around the dark part around the nipple or areola, not in the nipple. If the baby isn't latching well and is more on the nipple, it will be painful for the mother, leading to cracked nipples and even infections, and the baby won't be able to get enough breast milk. To achieve a good latch and ensure a comfortable feeding experience, the mother should hold the baby securely, supporting the baby's head and neck. It's important to bring the baby to the breast rather than lowering the breast to the baby. For proper positioning, remember the phrase tummy to mummy. The baby's tummy should face the mother's body. Next, align the baby's nose with the nipple, gently brushing the nipple against the baby's nose. This encourages the baby to open their mouth wide, allowing them to take the entire nipple along with most of the areola for an effective latch. Baby's chin should touch the breast and the lower lip should curl outwards. Mom shouldn't feel pain when baby starts to suckle. Moms can also find illustrations on latching in the Road to Health booklet.
And if mom is really struggling with breastfeeding, maybe it's painful or overwhelming, what should she do and where can she turn for help?
Mom should visit the clinic for advice. An experienced clinic sister can help mom position baby properly for a good latch. Many moms worry that they aren't producing enough breast milk, but it is hardly ever the case. If mom feeds baby on demand, in other words, whenever baby wants or shows signs the baby is hungry, such as putting their hands in their mouth, looking for the breast, or becoming restless and not waiting until the baby is crying, which is a late sign of hunger, then mom's body will produce enough milk. The more she breastfeeds, the more breast milk her body will make. Take baby to their clinic dates so the nurse can keep an eye on the baby's weight to make sure that they are getting enough. It's also important to remember that breastfeeding is easier when mom is relaxed. That's when the hormone that releases mom's milk called oxytocin is produced. Another reason not to wait until the baby is crying before you breastfeed. Look out for those hunger cues.
Ashley, let's touch on nutrition. Are there certain foods that breastfeeding moms should eat more of? And are there any things that they should avoid while breastfeeding?
Breastfeeding mothers need to stay well hydrated, so they need to drink a lot of water. They should also eat healthily and avoid alcohol, cigarettes, and other harmful drugs. Some medications are also not safe during pregnancy and breastfeeding, so mom should check before taking any over-the-counter or prescription medications.
Ashley, thank you so much for joining us today. In closing, for moms who are HIV positive and taking antiretrovirals, can they still breastfeed safely, and what should they know?
Definitely. Mom's antiretroviral medications won't harm baby. In fact, HIV-positive moms who are on antiretrovirals are strongly encouraged to exclusively breastfeed their babies for the first 6 months and continue breastfeeding until 2 years and beyond, just like other moms. It's important that all moms, including HIV-positive moms exclusively breastfeeding their babies, don't mix feed, which is when baby gets breast milk and other things like baby formula, juice, solid food, or water. With mixed feeding, there is a greater chance of the baby getting sick. As we mentioned earlier, things like allergies and diarrhea, and it may also reduce the mother's breast milk supply. If the baby is drinking less breast milk because they're drinking water, formula, and whatnot, the baby will produce less breast milk and eventually lead to early cessation of breastfeeding. And why give anything else when breast milk meets all their needs, supports their brain development, and builds their immune system?
Thank you for listening to Side by Side, the show that supports you to give your child the best possible start in life. Brought to you by the National Department of Health, Ilifa Labantwana, and the SABC Education. Join the conversation with other caregivers on our Facebook page at Side by Side SA and look out for more great content. Join us again same time next week when we'll be talking about registering your baby's birth and child grant early.
Side by Side.
This program was brought to you by SABC Education. Enriching minds, enriching lives.
Spar brings you super savings. Get Pampers Active Baby Nappies or Nappy Pads Value Pack for $169.99 plus 400 megs free data on Spar Mobile. Or Cadbury Crunchy Lunch Bar PS or 5-star chocolate bars, any two for 22 Rand plus 50 megs free data on Spar Mobile. Plus, you could win your share of 6 million Rand in instant cash. Prices valid until 24 August 2025. While stocks last. T's and C's apply.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
Channel your inner warrior woman this August on Expresso as we celebrate and empower women across South Africa. From trailblazing heroines to inspiring entrepreneurs, we spotlight stories of strength, resilience, and change. Join us for powerful panel chats, wisdom, wellness, and bold conversations on equality, GBV, and women's rights. This Women's Month, rise with the women leading our nation forward. Weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. only on S3.
The National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
Just so that we're clear, are you saying that every single JMPD officer has a 7,000 Rand a day target, or is it 7,000 as a collective? I mean, what is it?
JMPD officials are separated into operational staff members and administrative staff members. Obviously, the admin staff sit in offices, they do admin work, and the operational members, they go out and they conduct operational duties. I personally engaged with an operational staff member of the JMPD and was informed that each one of them has a target to collect of 7,000 Rand, as we've mentioned earlier, during the day shift. So this is the traffic fine target that must collect.
Michael Son, the DA member of the provincial legislature.
Ashraf Gada on SAFM. Find the podcast at safm.co.za. Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
Hey, we live stream the show, by the way. We live stream all the shows. So you can always log on to our social media and see the visuals of the shows. safm.co.za is where you can go. Or if you follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, you can find our live streams there. Facebook, wherever you are, we are as SAFM. Our final conversation for today, Palisa Sutane joins us, who is the curator of Women of Substance. Gratitude is Served, to tell us more about this portfolio exhibition that's taking place at the Arts Company in Soweto. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. Cannot complain. Okay, I love discovering new places. So before we even get into Woman of Substance, Gratitude is Served, the Arts Company Soweto, where's that located?
So the Arts Company Soweto is a printmaking studio. We have multiple offices. One is in Soweto and another one is in Constitutional Hill. And we're opening a new space at Ellis House Art Building, which is where the exhibition is happening in Johannesburg.
Oh, interesting indeed. Very interesting. Taking printmaking to the people.
Yes, definitely.
I love it.
Very excited.
Yeah, very exciting times indeed. Okay, let's talk about Woman of Substance, Gratitude is Served. Firstly, let's unpack that title a little bit and why it resonated with you as the curator.
Okay, so I was invited by the printmakers at the Arts Company Soweto, referred to as TAX, and they have a project called Women of Substance. So annually they invite artists to create a print in honor of a woman that they love and respect. And the incentive to that is that each artist receives a portfolio of prints that they've made from this project. So I thought it was an amazing initiative to be a part of initially, but I also started thinking about how do we show our gratitude to the women that we love on an everyday basis. You know, sometimes thank you is just not enough, and brunches have to end, and, you know, phone calls have to end too. But what can we give these women that we love and respect that will last, something that will be, you know, very personal to just them? And that's how the title of Gratitude is Served came along. I thought about, you know, we have to instill this practice of acts of service, which are reciprocated between women and appreciated, and hence the print serves as a form of gratitude.
Yeah. So it is a print portfolio exhibition. Talk to us about the dynamic works of the 9 women artists that are participating.
Yes, so we have multiple artists participating this year, the likes of Nene Mahlangu, Olechi DeFos, Teresa Kutala Firmino. And the idea is that they all chose somebody in their personal lives that they wanted to honor with this print. You know, some chose their mothers, some chose really close friends. And I thought it was quite special because as a viewer, you walk into an exhibition and that's your first point of contact with the artwork. However, as somebody who's creating a print, as an artist for somebody, it's a conversation that only you and the person being honored will understand. So the artists are creating something very unique, but also very personal, which I think honestly is great for this particular show, you know, because as buyers, you can walk into the space and experience the artwork for what it is. But the woman who's being honored experiences it on a much more personal level that we will not understand. So, yeah.
I mean, and also a very interesting group of women that you've convened with very distinct voices in the visual arts.
Yes. And what's interesting is that most of these women have never actually done printmaking before. This is their first time, you know, so a lot of them are painters or sculptors. And what's amazing about the Arts Company Soweto is that, you know, they also teach printmaking in their space. So they were very patient and guided each and every artist in the creation of their new work, no matter how much of a novice they were to the printmaking technique.
I was actually about to ask, you know, how do you convince these women who work on paint on canvas, you know, to actually and do very distinct disciplines, even they, you know, just the different methodologies that they all use on canvas. How do you get them to translate some of that work or into print, or perhaps it goes even completely the opposite direction of how we know them?
Definitely. You know, printmaking techniques are not linear, and as much as there are techniques such as lino cut and etching, the arts company, so to really try to accommodate as many artists as they could, and in creating new printmaking formats such as chinkole, collaging as well, and also adapting photographs into the printmaking process, which obviously isn't easy and it takes time, but it also allows the artists to see how much they can extend outside of their practices, which we know, and create something completely new for a brand new audience.
Absolutely. I mean, it sounds like an intriguing exhibition indeed. And I love the fact that also, each participating artist is reflecting on a woman who, in their personal space, holds a sacred space for them and holds a very personal, deep connection for them. Because oftentimes you would think that when women are called to reflect on like this, you kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? You kind of borrow from different elements and different people, different experiences, and then you put together something that is not a personal representation, but more a representation of a collective observation.
Yeah, I thought about that, and one of the things that I noticed during the creation process of this whole project is that as much as we want to generalize an exhibition of this scale, because it is also happening on Women's Day, I thought that, we need to make it a little bit more personal, because as women, we create friendship hierarchies, and in most cases, the people who sit at the top of this hierarchy know the most about us, apart from like the acquaintances that are on the broader spectrum of our pyramid. And I thought that I need to speak to those people at the top of our friendship hierarchies, because those are the people who know our innermost thoughts and our vulnerabilities. And it would be great for them to be on it, and to show other people as well that gratitude is served. It's not just in a passing thank you or let's do lunch. I really wanted it to be more personal. And the messaging then becomes that we need to start thanking each other while we're still alive and giving each other flowers while we can still smell them.
Absolutely. So Ellis House is going to be housing the exhibition. Give us the details in as far as when it opens, how long it runs, and whether or not at some point you might be considering even a walkabout with one or the other of the artists.
Yes. So the exhibition is opening on Saturday, the 9th of August, and we have an amazing preview happening with an organization called Women Who Collect, as well as a public viewing that begins at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But we'll also be doing activations such as a walkabout. We're going to have an amazing walkabout on the 31st of August in conjunction with Contra Fair, as well as Open City for FNB Art Joburg, which is happening on the 6th of September. So for the span of from the 9th of August up until the 9th of September, people are welcome to visit the Arts Company Soweto's studio at Ellis House to view the exhibition.
You know what I just and I'm gonna sort of pass it off as mummy brain, right? Because my earlier question to Palisa was, oh, the Arts Company Soweto, and then I thought, oh, tax.
Yes.
I'm like, when you deal with the acronym of a brand all the time, and then your brain doesn't make the correlation to go, girl, come on now. So incredible. Sounds like an incredible exhibition indeed, Palisa. Looking forward to seeing what the women have created for this one, and we appreciate the time with you this afternoon. That was Palisa Sutane. Thank you so much. That was Palisa Sutane, who's the curator of this one, Woman of Substance. Gratitude is served. It's opening at Ellis House Art Building, which can be found in Bertram's here in Johannesburg. If you've never been, by the way, you should go explore that. It's not too far from Victoria Yards. It's actually just down the road from Victoria Yards, a stone's throw away from them. It's a beautiful space, Ellis House. It's one of those art institutions, because if we're being honest, sometimes these art spaces, they can be one of two art spaces. Really high-end white boxes, galleries in northern suburbs, very posh, very intimidating, or they could be housed in like grunge environments where, artists are rebelling against how they should be seen. And so they're gritty, they're dirty, they're grungy, and sometimes even a bit scary for people to go and go explore. Ella's House is a beautiful balance in the middle because it's in a wonderful area of Bertram's, and it's a beautiful new, well-furbished building that houses incredible young artists, all of them really carving their name out in as far as being bankable. And most of them have studios down there and some interesting designers as well. Tebe Magugu had his headquarters down there before moving to Tebe House, as did Laduma and Amaxhosa. They had a space down there. I think they still have it. So it's a beautiful space. It's safe. It's clean. It's welcoming. It's inviting. It's fresh. It's new. And it's in an interesting neighborhood that is gentrifying. That's reimagining everything that's possible. So you can go there, have a look, walk around some of the studios. You might be fortunate that some of the artist studio spaces are open, and you can go in and peruse around and get to meet some of the artists, get to see some of their work. And then you can go down across the street to Victoria Yards and see creativity from a different perspective, because they also have some interesting offerings right there. So that's just a little bit of Ella's House in case you've never heard of them and you want to put them on your radar. That is how we call it a day from our side today. We actually got some interesting messages regarding our first conversation. Someone said the woman of 1956 faced a different but united struggle against systemic oppression. The woman of today needs a new approach to activism because our challenges are diverse. We've become strong, but the challenges we are facing are weakening us. That was just the opening conversation to that. It's August, so we're going to have a lot of women-centered conversations coming in from different perspectives and different angles for the entirety of the month. From myself and my team, thank you so much for choosing to be in conversation with us. You could have been anywhere and you decided to be here, so we don't take it for granted. Ashraf is coming through 3 to 6. Inshallah, God willing, we do it again.
This Women's Month, SAFM stands with the women shaping South Africa's future. Under the theme, Building Resilient Economies for All, we honor the pioneers, the problem solvers, and the everyday heroes driving change. Stay tuned as SAFM brings you powerful stories and meaningful conversations that move us. SAFM, celebrating women, celebrating progress. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
Thank you, Bridget. Top stories this hour. Cabinet continues engagement with US amid new tariffs, and Ghana mourns ministers killed in helicopter crash. Good afternoon. Cabinet is hopeful that South Africa will reach a trade deal with the US soon, with the aim of avoiding the 30% tariff increase